You're going to show up if you're paying $50 an hour for a trainer. Are you going to show up for yourself? Are you worth it? If you, in your mind, can honestly quit lying to yourself and honestly say, yes, I know enough, I'm excited enough to learn, right? To consume information and then walk it out. I'm ready. Awesome, right? Then you're ready. But if you're kind of just like, I don't know, I haven't, then no, you're not. If it isn't a full body yes, then it's an absolute no. And to mitigate the shame that comes with that stopping and starting, it's best to just invest financially or just in yourself and show up.
Welcome to Elevated Life, Real Wellness and Transformation Podcast, where we walk alongside the internally driven individual as they transform their life through wellness, movement, mindset, and personal responsibility. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's jump in.
We're at the point in time this year that comes every year, really, where people are maybe over the initial motivation, which is why we don't like that word, of going to the gym, exercise, and that kind of thing. And so we see a lot of stopping in our industry. And it just got us thinking. We were having a conversation the other day and thought, this is something that we want to share. Just the whole notion of starting and stopping and where that goes, what that leads to. So we're going to get into that today.
Yes, we are. And it's funny because it's not just like the New Year's start and stop. I have noticed a pattern just since becoming a personal trainer and a gym owner. It happens all throughout the year. And I almost want to say that it happens more in the summer months than any other time. And, it's an issue with personal trainers, right? Specifically. So let's just talk about like what I see. A lot of people have a hard time investing in a personal trainer. So they decide to get the smallest package. And then they're like, okay, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to go. And then it stops. Or they see a trainer for, a long period of time. I've had clients that I've seen for well over a year and invest thousands of dollars. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't like this anymore, or life got really busy or whatever, and they stop. And it's always shocking to me. And now I'm to the point where when my clients are like, okay, I think I'm, all done. The question now is, are you legitimately going to show up at least twice a week to work out on your own? Like, that's the conversation. And the reason why I started having this conversation for us specifically is because when you are one of our training clients and you're local, you get a free gym membership at our gym. How many people utilize that free membership?
Yeah, I think we've had, between the two of us, maybe two, maybe
three.
Yeah.
Like such a small percentage. And so I always tell people when, they first sign on, once you start this fitness journey, do not stop. Like, don't stop, because what happens is you really start to get momentum, especially at the beginning with all the newbie gains, right? And you start to feel really good and strong. And I see it carry over just in the light in people's eyes, how much more confidence they have. And then they stop. And then what happens is the guilt and the shame that piles on with that really is hard to work through to actually start again.
Yeah, we were having that conversation, and I guess, and just to take a step back, based on how we opened it, there's really two different things that we're talking about here. the starting and stopping of just trying to do it on your own, and the starting and stopping of having a trainer and
Yeah.
investing more into that. Some ways they're similar, some ways they're a little bit different. But especially with the people who have taken that step to get a trainer and really, really dove in, that's the I'm not even going to say frustrating. It's hard to have the emotion because ultimately it's their choice.
Yeah.
But when you see it from our perspective, and somebody who's made those gains and who's all those things that John was just talking about, and then they stop, man, that restart when you've done that is 100 times, 1,000 times harder than the initial start.
Yeah. And a lot of times it doesn't restart because of the shame involved in it. And I know this year for Elevated Fitness, like gym members, we're really pushing like, hey, here's a strategy to continue training through the summer and not just stop completely. Like, and we've talked about this on the podcast, our training changes, right? It's like 2 or 3 times a week. We're in maintenance mode because there's so much to do outside here. We absolutely love the spring through fall weather. There's so many things to do, but just stopping resistance training, because I don't care what anyone says, hiking, biking, paddle boarding, walking, concerting, it is not the same as resistance training. It just isn't. And so you're going to lose muscle mass in that time. And it's just, once you gain that momentum with the habit of going, don't stop.
This is the thing. One of the things that spurred it on was, we regularly see people who either haven't ever lifted, or, it was, I worked out in high school or whatever, and now I'm, 48 or 71 or whatever those numbers are, not 19.
Yeah.
And so they've had this long stretch or completely never done anything, and start out, and like the most basic things are, I can't even get through body weight squats.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have that buildup. And then, they'll go through 2-3 months, whatever, we talk about the fitness industry time frames, do that 6-week transformation or whatever bullshit it is. And then like, okay, I'm good. And then they'll try to convince themselves they can go on their own, which, some people do, but the vast majority fall off.
Yeah, it's that top 1% that continue on.
But then those people that come back in 6 months or whatever, and they're back to barely being able to do body weight squats.
Yeah.
That it's a really sad realization.
It is. And I feel like with the conversations that I have had with people who, come back, it's always, oh my gosh, I used to. And I really tried to say, here's the deal. The cool thing is your body has muscle memory. So it's not going to take as long for you to build that strength back. However, this is why you don't stop. Once you start, you don't stop, and you trust the process. I'm involved in some, Facebook forums for trainers, for, whatever, motivation, things like that. And it was really interesting. 2 of the comments, and I don't always comment, but sometimes, sometimes I do. And this lady was asking about, is it worth it to hire a trainer? The trainer that she was looking at hiring demanded payment up front. There was no initial consultation, no nothing. And, we have a whole podcast about finding a good trainer. And, I read through the comments, and a lot of it was go on YouTube and blah, 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 blah. But YouTube is not curated to your specific goals, right? You have different goals. You have a different nutritional history than the people doing the exercises on YouTube or Instagram or any of those things. Now, you can put in the effort there, right? If you're willing to take the time, and that's the go-getter, right? Because I could say that I did that for myself, but it took hours and hours and hours and hours, right? Or, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and you also fall in potentially into that same trap that we've talked about a lot of so much information.
Oh.
You know, you're just going to get right back into, okay, I want to tone whatever this, I want to work, I shouldn't say tone.
Yeah.
Strike that from the record.
It's still a word that's used because it resonates with women.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to get super bulky, so I just want to be toned. Yeah.
But if you're thinking, I want to work on a certain part of my body, so I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to find some stuff. Now, all of a sudden, I've got 10,000 videos. And again, I mean, like a broken record on this, you're going to have 2 videos that are going to say, one of them, all you should do are chest flies for your chest. And then the next video you're going to click on says, here's 10 reasons why chest flies are the worst lift to ever do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well,
Exactly.
what do I do?
It's so true. So within this comment, I said, what you want to make sure to do to find a good trainer is I have a consultation with my clients. They have a
So do I.
questionnaire that they fill out so that I get a baseline of what their goals are and where they're at mentally. I meet with them. The reason why I do this is because I need to know if they are a good match for me and I'm a good match for them. And sometimes that's not a good match, right? I also want to know all of their diet history because that plays a huge role in this, right? And so that's a perfect segue for the next question that I got, or, whoever got on this forum was, I fired my coach because I had been eating 1,800 calories for X amount of, years, and they reversed me up to 2,300 calories. It's been 3 months. Yes, I've gotten muscle gains, but I haven't lost any weight, right? The weight on the scale.
Scales.
And I read through the comments and, it was just, I would fire them too. That's terrible. And I'm thinking, the general population doesn't understand that a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with women, they have been told that eating 1,200 calories is what they need to eat. Their body runs off of that and they're still obese. So how do you cut from there? You don't.
Right.
You have to build metabolic tissue. Metabolic tissue requires food, whole food, protein, right? Protein and fiber, we need that. And so you reverse it back up so that you can build that muscle tissue. And sometimes that takes a long time. It does. It can take more than 3 months. This specific person, it was 3 months. And then when you put them on a cut, you see rapid fat loss without, the muscle loss that happens, because that's the first thing to go if you're just randomly cutting, right? Because it's high value tissue. It takes a lot of energy to keep it on your body. So I tried to explain that in like a layman's terms, but people don't the average person who has not done schooling does not understand that. And so she fired her coach, and now she's having coach firing regrets. And I just was like, yeah, sounds like, actually that sounds like that sounds like a mind pump coach who's like, we need to reverse diet first to get your calories up. I've had to do that with clients, because I have women coming in who have only eaten 1,000 calories. And I'm like, okay, now we got to bump it, and you're not going to lose any weight for the first maybe 3 months. But guess what doesn't sell? That.
Right.
That doesn't sell. And then they end up stopping. Every single woman that has come to me with the same issue that I had and conquered has stopped because it hasn't happened quick enough, and they're in the same place, in a worse place. Actually, now, because then they have that start and stop shame.
Hey friends, if you're getting something out of this, connect with us on our social media platforms. We're at CJ Elevated Life _ on Instagram and TikTok, and CJ Elevated Life on Facebook and X. We're answering DMs, sharing daily content, and building community with people ready for real transformation. For now, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We drop 2 new episodes every week. And if this episode resonates, share it. That's how we reach more people who are ready for change. You can also find everything at cjelevatedlife.com. All right, let's keep going.
A couple things I wanted to touch on that you said, specifically with the schooling. The other side of that is just the real world experience of
for sure.
of having gone through, multiple. Gotta quit saying, multiple people and seen different outcomes for different things. So then, a good personal trainer is going to be able to utilize that experience and say, hey, this is what I think. Let's give this a shot, and here's why. And then, but let's pay attention.
Yeah.
And, this isn't quite working for you because, again, Jonna says this all the time. I say it sometimes. We're all different.
Yeah.
We're all going to react to different things differently. Our bodies are different. Our genetics are different. So it's still going to be a precise thing. There isn't a thing on the internet that is going to tell you exactly what you need for you.
Oh,
Might get
totally.
close, but it's still going to all be just generic stuff that you have to weed through.
Right.
What you're going to get with the personal trainer is eyes on you all the time, specifically focused on you. What is working for you? And that's something that when you stop, now all of a sudden, you might have had a little bit of knowledge beyond just, I know how to do these 8 lifts or whatever. That's great. And you've maybe got a little bit of knowledge of like the reverse dieting thing. But now you got to, that all of a sudden there's that vacuum when you quit again. And so you have to go find that information. What's the next step?
Yeah.
What do I do now? What do I do if I went on this reverse diet and now I've gone on a cut and I'm not responding?
Right.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
And now it's back to YouTube or ChatGPT.
Right.
And
that is not, so when you're hiring a good personal trainer, you want to make sure that they have a consultation with you. You want to make sure that they understand your goals. You want to make sure that they talk to you about your nutrition history. And then the part where you have to trust that they know what the F that they are doing, right? If they're not doing that, if it's, no, just pay up front and I'll meet you on Thursday and here we go, that can be good in some cases because I've done that before because schedules are tight, or I've known the person beforehand, so I'm like, okay, I kind of know what's going on here. But a good personal trainer, especially if you don't know them, they're going to have you fill out a questionnaire. They're going to get to know you. And the real question you need to be honest with yourself about: if I do not have my trainer there, meaning if I'm not paying for something, right? Because money is the currency of consistency, right? You're going to show up if you're paying $50 an hour for a trainer. Are you going to show up for yourself? Are you worth it? If you, in your mind, can honestly quit lying to yourself and honestly say, yes, I know enough. I'm excited enough to learn, right? To consume information and then walk it out. I'm ready. Awesome, right? Then you're ready. But if you're kind of just like, I don't know, I haven't, then no, you're not. If it isn't a full body yes, then it's an absolute no. And to mitigate the shame that comes with that stopping and starting, it's best to just invest financially or just in yourself and show up.
yeah, I'm glad you brought those things up. It was stuff that I wanted to talk about too, because there's kind of a stigma of, I'm just I'm just paying this person so I show up. And that's something that people can do whatever they want. Try not to give unsolicited advice, although that's all this podcast really is.
Yeah, right.
I guess it's not unsolicited if you're listening.
Yeah.
But there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is being in tune with yourself and who you are. If you need somebody, if the only thing that, I shouldn't say the only thing, but if part of the reason you have a personal trainer is just to keep you accountable,
Yeah.
to get your ass to the gym a couple days a week, good for you for recognizing that and sticking with it.
Yeah.
I think that's another reason why people quit is they feel like, well, this is the only thing I'm getting out of this is just me getting here.
Right.
You know, now I'm paying somebody else just to show up. Why do I need to do that? If you're not going to do it for yourself, that's exactly why. You answered your own question already.
Yeah. And then, you know, if you're someone who's like, okay, I can only financially afford so many sessions, then come ready to learn, right? We've talked about this as well. Like, we have clients that they have zero presence when they train with us. They, you know, they're like, wait, what are we doing next? Like, they're somewhere else. And then we have clients that are like, why are we doing this? What muscle does this work? I love that.
You absolutely just stole the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
thinking the exact same thing. It's so, and I know we already did the red flag podcast, but I think it's worth repeating. If you're asking those questions and you're getting pushback,
I know.
Yeah,
You don't
then
have-
that is a good reason to
Yeah.
get into a different trainer.
Yeah.
Because it's the coolest thing in the world to be like, okay, why are we doing this lift? What is it working on? What if I don't feel it right there? Should I be feeling it in a different spot? You know,
Yep.
all those things.
Yeah.
That's somebody that is setting themselves up at some point to be able to potentially not have a trainer.
Yeah.
Or maybe they will because they know this is who I am. This is how I am. I want somebody there with me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. The other thing is, you know, for trainers, and we've talked about this endlessly, you know, Clint and I are not Jillian Michaels trainers. Like, the nutrition part, I only do nutrition with people who want to do that. Because I'm telling you right now, talking about nutrition with people is right up there with religion and politics. It is. It is. They get very defensive, well, I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm not going to stop doing that. But then they're upset that you know, the results are slow. And that's just another thing in terms of, like, you know, when I was listening to these questions on this forum, I thought, you know, come on, like, this is a relationship, right? And your part is, number one, showing up for your sessions. Number two, dialing in your nutrition, because you cannot eat like an asshole and have any kind of results. That's just the facts. You can build strength, sure. But if you want to be cut, right, and have a good physique, that all happens in the kitchen.
It's another reason that we see and that people might be thinking potentially to stop is that nutrition conversation.
Oh, yeah.
It's talk about looking in a mirror when you just have to forget about, like, weighing food and doing all that stuff, when you just have to be honest with yourself and keep a food journal for a week.
Right. Yeah.
See what you're really eating,
Yeah.
how much you're really eating, how much you're snacking when you don't realize it. That's a window into your soul that a lot of people don't want to deal with.
No, it's hard for us, Clint. I mean, we go through periods where, you know, we're totally dialed in. We've talked about 80-20 a ton, and really we believe it's more like 90-10. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Like, okay, how many dates and nuts did we actually have today? Like, let's be honest here. And it's hard because our mind just wants to go, oh no, I'm fine. I just had one coffee drink and, I had a whatever at breakfast and then, I had a couple of this and a couple of that. And the body doesn't need that much food. It just doesn't, especially in the form of garbage food. So I always tell people, like, I'm super honest. We can do all the things in the gym, right? All of them. But if you don't have your nutrition dialed in, that's on you, legitimately on you. So, and it's the same thing with starting and stopping in nutrition, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like if we're not even talking to the person that's still eating processed food. Like that's so out, especially with all the information that is coming out about processed food. But that part is on you. We can't go into your house and knock you up over the head or move in with you. So anyway, back to starting and stopping. If you have started, keep going. Maybe results are slow. Real results are slow. What's that thing that new phrase you came up with? Like fast is not, it's so good. And I meant to write it down. It's fake. Fast is fake or, I don't know.
Yeah. Fast fixes result in fast failures. It's not that.
I don't know,
that?
but fast
Something.
failures, yes.
Something, yeah.
Fast fixes or fast failures, yeah. It just takes time. Yeah, and you have to dedicate yourself to it. And so with the summer months and spring happening, don't stop. Like just kind of go into more of a maintenance mode. Don't do the all or nothing thing where it's like, oh, if I can't hit the gym for 4 total hours in a week, then just forget it. No. That it doesn't have to be like that. And I'm having those conversations with my clients now so that they can mentally prepare for what's coming.
Yeah.
Right?
I think one of the coolest things that we have in Rebuilt for both men's and women's is an initial contract that you do with yourself that, again, it's all reliant on how honest you're going to be with yourself. And if you're not going to be honest with yourself, then none of this shit matters.
No, and you shouldn't even do Rebuilt.
Yeah, right.
Like,
or any
even,
of it.
Yeah, don't do any of it. You really have to be honest.
But so basically you're just going in and writing down how you feel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different questions. There's some guidance on it, so you don't just have to come up with things on your own. But you're writing that down. And then there's constant reminders because we would be lying if we said, oh no, once you get going, you're never going to feel like quitting. You're never going to feel like stopping. Everybody goes through those moments where it's just like, is this worth it? Why am I doing this? All those different feelings. But the cool thing about that we have in Rebuilt, if you do it, is it reminds you, go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Because we talk about all the time when people are pretty committed and they're like, I'm not seeing gains. I'm not seeing gains.
Or the scale hasn't.
Yeah. And then I always go back to the example of, remember when we first talked and you couldn't get the bag of dog food from your car to your house?
Yeah.
And now it's no problem. Those are gains.
Yeah.
But those are things you forget. So when you're in those moments of, why am I doing this? I'm just gonna stop for a while. It's so hard to remember how you felt before you started.
Yeah, that's why I document everything with my clients because my biggest tell that I've noticed, not just people being able to lift things up or go upstairs or downstairs, is the walking lunge. It's the biggest tell. I have so many clients that start with, what's the word? Just stationary lunges.
Yeah.
And holding onto a bench for help, right? Not weighted, barely can get through 2 sets of 10. That in a month then are doing complete walk-through lunges with 10 or 15 pound weights. That is so huge. I love telling people when they're like, well, the scale hasn't moved, or yes, I feel a little bit better, but, and I'm like, remember when you couldn't even do a stationary lunge without feeling like you were going to fall over, or on the 8th rep, your legs were on fire and you needed to like rest before you finished. Remember? And now you're doing walk through lunges holding 30 pounds. Like that's a really big deal. And you're feeling stable. Because I deal with a lot of people who get dizzy or off balance, you know, things of that nature. That happens at a young age, 30s, that starts to happen. So just those seemingly little things, but that's why I document everything.
Because, I mean, like I just said, it's amazing how often people don't remember that.
Yeah.
Like, no, that wasn't. Like, yes, it was.
Or like, let's go back to what you were overhead pressing a month ago, right? You were using 8-pound weights and now you're using 15. Do you think that that just magically happens? No, muscle tissue has to be built in order for you to push up more weight. So, anyway, yeah.
So when you get to that point, if you're at that point, or if you're just starting out, or not even if you're just starting out, it's worth it right now just to make some notes. Some notes, and the numbers, the stuff that we're talking about is important because it's a good measurement, but also just how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when it comes time when, you know, inevitably you've got that lull of, why am I doing this? Go back and read those things.
Yeah, and then remember where you started and then tell yourself, I don't want to start over from the beginning. And we're pushing the end of February now. Don't think that this isn't going to cross your mind when the weather gets better and you want to go out and barbecue and do all of the things during the summer months. Have a plan in place now, right?
Something that you touched on in the beginning that we kind of moved past that reminded me, if you're going back and you're reading that and starting over, the guilt and the shame and all of the negative emotions that you're going to have if you've made a bunch of gains and whatever those gains are, and then you stop for a while and then you decide to start over again. It's almost hard to explain unless you've been there and been through it. But it's really, oh, sorry about that. It is, it's a time where when you feel it the second time, let's say if you've started and stopped and you try to start again, however hard it was to get through that first time is going to be so much worse because you're really faced with the concept of, well, now I have to either go through that again, but also within the back of my head that I was already there. Why am I not there anymore? Beating myself up about it. Or, you know, those voices, they'll start creeping in your head of, no, you shouldn't do this. Yeah. You're just going to quit again. You've already quit. You know, there's no reason to do this again because this is what you do. You start and stop and start and stop. Whatever those feelings were and voices were last time, each time you do that start and stop, they get amplified.
They do. They absolutely do. And, you know, I also want to talk to the person who has stopped and is going through this emotion right now. Too bad. Like, start again. Honestly. Yes, you're going to feel like shit about yourself. What I want you to do, and we call it our bitch voice, I want you to shut it down. I want you to replace it with, well, fuck. Oh, well. Right? I'm human. This is what I did. And then make a promise to yourself. Quit lying to yourself and say, I'm going to do this, and this is what I'm doing. This is part of my life now. Too bad, and I'm not stopping. Okay? It's just like that. You have to shut down that bitch voice. Because I know that voice. I did it. Okay? I've done everything. The things that we talk about on this podcast, I feel like I've gone through every frickin' one of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be speaking to it because life experience is way better than any certificate, any head knowledge of anything. What I am encouraging you to do, what we are encouraging you to do, are things that we have also gone through. I started and stopped for years. And then and the shame that came with going back to the gym, it took me a year plus to go back to the gym because of that shame. I was crippled by it. And then it was like, well, tough shit. It's either accept this or too bad. And I had to literally mentally just, and that bitch voice was so loud. It was roaring in my ear. And I had to just go, no, you can shut the fuck up. Because you've been ruling this shit for a long time. And look at where I'm at.
Exactly.
There's no fruit that you know even what the fuck you're talking about. So, just not going to listen. And then trusting the process. Again, that it just takes longer. So don't stop this spring and summer, y'all. If you've started, do not stop. If you want to scale back your training because you get summer brain, I get summer brain, where I just want to be on the water all the time. Just work with who you are to the core of your being. Don't lie to yourself and say, no, I'm still going to go 7 days a week. Okay, no, you're not. But guess what? Maybe you're going to hit it 3 times a week. And maybe you're going to cut back on your alcohol intake this summer because you know that alcohol doesn't help you lose weight. I just had to toss that in there.
Every podcast.
Yes, it is every podcast, and I love it. So anyway, keep going strong.
One thing I want to reassure everyone on again. Oh, and that. We talk a lot about tools and having tools and using tools. And so just along the lines of silencing that inner bitch voice, which is so critical to any sort of growth. If you can't do it on your own right away, specifically talking now about fitness and nutrition and stuff, that's a perfect reason to get a personal trainer.
Totally.
Because you can't expect yourself to be 100%, to be perfect, quote unquote, perfect, or completely reliable at the start.
Yeah.
If you recognize, you know what, this is something that I'm going to do, but I need some tools.
Yep.
I need some support for me to do that. Get a personal trainer, because they're going to be your fucking biggest cheerleader, but if they're a good one, but not in a way that's motivation, in a way that's support for you to do
and
the things
honest.
that you need to do.
If they're a good trainer, then they're going to be honest, right? Oops, I just kicked my camera again. I know you guys like that, so I'm just going to keep doing that. It shakes things up. I recently brought on a client that told me, Jonna, I kept waiting to be ready, and I never got ready, but my health, my mental health, my physical health, my exhaustion, all of it just kept getting worse. And so I was like, okay, fine. I'm never going to be ready. I don't super love to exercise. And so I got to hire a personal trainer. And I just was like, lady, you are so freaking brave. I mean, and she's a little bit older than me, and I'm like, midlife women are just my frickin' jam right now, because they're all just about being honest with themselves and reaching out for help, and they don't give 2 fucks anymore. So I just, applauded her for being so brave and honest with herself, right? Because so many people come over here and they're like, which mask should I put on today? I'm going to put on the, lie to myself mask. And then they just end up, time continues to go by, and they don't reach their goals because they can't be honest with themselves, The
cool thing about that story that I really want to hit home is she didn't come to you and say, fix me.
Yeah.
She didn't come to you and say, you're the professional. Not tell me what to do. Fix me. I don't need to expand on that. She came to you and said, I need to fix me, but I need help.
Absolutely.
I need guidance in this. I need guidance to fix myself.
Well, and I've said in past podcasts, what I'm not bringing into the fire horse here is the energy of, in terms of when I meet with my clients, the fix me, the victim, the I do all the things and nothing's working. It's like, no, you don't, because no, you don't. So, it's very much a consultation for myself as well. Where am I going to put my energy? I want to put my energy into people who are focused, who want results, who are going to be accountable to themselves, that are no longer lying to themselves, because I'm not playing the game of everything's the personal trainer's fault when you go eat a box of taquitos after we've trained and you said, oh yes, I just lifted weights for an hour so I can eat a whole box of taquitos. And then, the next week, the scale hasn't gone down and I still feel like shit. Not doing that anymore. Like, it's just not something that I'm doing. But, just to talk about rebuild. So for the person who can't afford a trainer, who really feels like, and I'm going to use myself as an example because I can only speak for myself, you're just sick and tired, but you don't know what to do. You don't want to go on YouTube and figure out all the stinking things. Rebuild is perfect for that person. The person that wants to be accountable to themselves, that wants to learn, that needs some guidance. And again, we also train people that are not local. Right? We can train you if you're far away. We do it kind of the same way. Obviously, we're not in the gym with you, but we are on phone calls with you or FaceTimes with you. And so you still get that personal touch, I guess, accountability. So anyway, you can check out those things on cjellevatedlife.com. We have a men's version that is obviously for men, and a women's version for women, because men and women are different. Yeah, they require different things.
And they're based on, kind of just to reiterate what Jonna just said, they're based on our experience. So Jonna wrote the women's version, I wrote the men's version from our experience. And what's cool about it to me is they're not absolutes. It's the same way we train, the same way we talk to people. Here's what worked for us. Here's some other ideas of things that might work for you. Here's some places where you can look, whether it's internally or whatever it might be. If those things aren't working, here's how you can modify things a little bit. So it's not just do these 6 lifts and, do this 8-minute ab workout and you're going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that.
Yeah, it's really difficult, as we were putting together Rebuild and even launching online training, because I'm such a hands-on person. I really want to help people. I want to communicate with them. It was hard that's why it went through so many iterations, is because it was just like, no, I just want to sit with these people and talk to them. But I think we did a pretty good job of the person. It's definitely for the person who is a self-starter, right? It's not for someone who's like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. That's who needs to hire a personal trainer. Someone who's ready to get fit, but does not know how to do anything and needs some guidance. You need to hire a trainer. And you need to make sure that they sit down and talk with you before you send them money. I told that lady, I'm like, no, if homie is asking for money up front and not sitting down and having a consultation with you, he's going to give you like 8 exercises and go, okay, go do them. And then you're just going to be like, what? I don't know what to do. What if I, pull a muscle? What if I don't feel good? What if I'm on my period? All the different things that come into play. So, yeah, I hope that this was helpful. And I hope that it inspires you to keep going and to not stop. And also, if you did stop, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Okay? I did it several times. And I'm, fine. Just shut off the bitch voice and get after it. And start working on what am I going to do during the summer when I get summer brain, right? But continue to show up for yourself so that you're not going into fall of 2026 going, well, shit, I had so much momentum and then I stopped and now I have to deal with all the shame involved in that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for listening.
And we'll talk to you soon.